Hello, everyone. Welcome to LTA's Theater Escape. I am Marquise Bundy, and we also have JR. You can introduce yourself real quick, JR.
Hey, I'm JR, and I'll be the other podcast host for this given podcast.
We are seniors at Lincoln High School. We are doing this theater-themed podcast just to give ourselves, to give our scratch that creative itch and give ourselves something to do in this time of uncertainty. So, with that, we want to welcome our first guest on LTA's Theater Escape. Please give a warm welcome from wherever you're listening from to Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good today. How was your day?
The sun is shining again. The snow is mostly gone. I'm here for it. I had my coffee and opened up some windows, and yeah, I'm over the winter. Let's go ahead and get this spring summer joint going.
I feel like I haven't seen snow in quite literally weeks. And it's not like I was actively looking for snow to be gone or looking for snow to be there rather, but I just I was thinking about this today, wow, I really haven't seen snow in a good day.
It's like a realization. It's like you look around and you go, oh wait, the snow's gone. Dope.
Yeah, there was a giant pile that was on my porch for a good while because most of the day it wouldn't be in the sunlight till the later part of the afternoon, and even then it wouldn't be there for that long. But just Sunday alone was enough to get most of it gone.
Hallelujah.
So we just got a few questions for you, Madison. We've done a few collabs with you and Lincoln Theater Arts. So we are very familiar with you, but I know that our guests aren't quite familiar with you. Can you tell us what you do and how you spend your time nowadays?
Yeah. So last year, 2020. It's so hard to keep track of time anymore. So 2020, I signed a recording contract, and so we're currently working on my first big studio label album. And I started working for Iowa Public Radio, doing some shows as like a personality for them, and bringing them some more arts and creativity and music and theater through the radio. And yeah, just kind of taking each day as it comes and seeing how we can make Des Moines and make Iowa just a little bit cooler.
That is so amazing. I know that. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say something, JR?
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how? Oh, I didn't really phrase it. Basically, how has that radio stuff gone so far, and how frequently are you able to do that in a given week?
Well, actually, I do special programs, so it's more it's like a more of a marquee kind of attraction. So my first radio special was the holiday special. At the end of last year, we did a kind of a big variety show where we invited, I think it was something over 40 different artists from across Iowa, whether it was music or comedy, dance, and all of that. And we did all these different video projects, and we all got to celebrate the holidays together. Remotely. But it was so cool to do something of that scope and that scale where we were able to reach out across the entire state and bring so many different kinds of artists together, which, when you think about it, it'd be really hard to do that in person. You think about all of that talent, all of the tech, all of the technical things and logistical difficulties that come with a project that big or that ambitious. And we were able to make it work over the internet and plan and strategize. And that was the first one. And that went over really well. I had heard some really good things from Iowa Public Radio, and they offered me 2 more for 2021. So we're working on something for the summer, and we'll have something for next winter too.
That is awesome. Is it how time consuming is that? How much time do you have to set aside just for that specific thing?
Well, that's
do you
actually
have
the big
a day job or something like that?
No. No. I've been fortunate enough to or maybe stupid enough to be the one to kind of jump out to the front and say, oh well, I'll try that. I'll be the guinea pig. I'll do the experiment. Because the big question for entertainers not just here in Iowa, but across the country and around the world, is how do we get our industry back? A global pandemic shuts all of that down, whether it's concerts or theater. The ability to go out and enjoy a live show is a difficult thing. And obviously with the vaccine coming out and having more access to that, that gives us a light at the end of the tunnel. But for the last literal year, it's been a question of what do we do to keep the lights on. And our ability to be creative, I think, is really the most beautiful thing. Is how do we think around our problems or our shortcomings, whether it's budget or time or any kind of resource, our creativity finds a way to make the thing happen. So luckily I've been kept afloat by all these different projects and different organizations coming to me and saying, oh, wow, we saw that you did a thing with this group or that group. Can you help us do a thing for our organization too? And so I can show up and help them bring their vision to life safely, responsibly, but also, entertaining in new ways. So I would say that the big lesson I got from that, though, is that it takes so much more time to get less content than it did when we were doing things live and in person, right? So you might work twice as hard and twice as long to get a quarter of the results. And you have to just kind of accept that and just keep moving.
Well, we definitely commend you for that work, because it is not easy and it's not always the most fulfilling, I am sure, but it is something that, us as creatives just have the passion for. So it doesn't ever feel like work, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for that compliment. But I want to give it back to you, because a podcast like this is exactly how we find ways to express ourselves and tell our stories. So, I mean, you're doing the work too. So congratulations to you, and congratulations to this podcast.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. That actually segues really well into my next question for you. If you had to do one other thing completely separate from performing, from anything in the arts or anything like that, if you had to choose one other profession, what would it be?
Ooh, okay. So fun fact, when I moved back to Iowa, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, and I almost ended up in law school. So maybe in another reality, I'm an attorney or a judge or something. But if I were really to do something that was like another passion of mine, I really love food, and I just might just be like a fat kid, just getting that out. But there's something that's just so lovely about being able to feed people. It's such a loving gesture. It's such a caring thing to be able to give someone a meal and to break bread and to have that kind of fellowship. It's just a really wonderful, wonderful thing. And so I think if I really to chase my passions, and maybe that's something down the line, is maybe I'd have a restaurant. Maybe it's like a pizzeria or something. I don't know.
That for me too. I'm always like, there's always so many things that I want to do, but I've always known that like performing is the way that I want to go. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, if I for some reason decide I wanted to be a lawyer or something, then I can sort of do both in a sense, because I could just play a part where I'm a lawyer. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay,
Absolutely.
well, if I'm like actually immersing myself in this role, then like now I'm killing two birds with one stone. You know what I mean? And so it's like kind of, that's the great thing about acting, is that like you really do get the chance to do so many other things while also doing the thing that you love.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I'll say this until there's no more breath in my body, but theater skills are life skills. The things you learn on stage, the things you learn in those spaces, they translate directly. It's not just like a hypothetical, but your ability to tell stories, your ability to go in front of an audience, the ability to communicate. These are things that you will use your entire life, no matter where you go, whether you work at a bank or in the courtroom, or if you're, serving coffee and flipping burgers. Like, these are all skills that require, I think, there's something that connects to theater, and how to perform and how to emote and how to, bring that out of yourself.
For sure. So just for people who might not be as like well in depth within acting and theater, what would be like a good example of a life lesson you've learned on stage outside of your given play?
Ooh, okay. Oh, this is an easy one. be ready to react. Like you can be prepared, and the reason you prepare is to be ready for the things that can go wrong, or things that can happen unexpectedly, and how to live in that moment and work with whatever might be happening. That ability to react and improvise, like that is like golden, because that is life. Like let's go back 1 year. Who was expecting to have to stay inside for the last 12 months? You know what I mean? Like we have to react to that, and we have to still find a way to thrive. Like that is the truth.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely keeps it definitely keeps things fresh, as to where, like, if you might already be well versed within a given situation, like say you were getting coffee and all of a sudden like a big wind breeze were to take it out of your hand, or some person were to just like pull a public stunt and just do something really weird. Like, although you might like have a way that goes, it's like sometimes it's hard to keep it fresh in a given, after a certain amount of performances, saying if a show had multiple nights instead of just one given night.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing is, our ability to stay in the scene, our ability to react appropriately. That's a direct life thing. Like I said, life can come at you real fast all of a sudden. And how do you react? How do you maintain, and how do you keep things moving? How do you keep the show? How do you keep people engaged in the show? That's how it is.
Yeah. So in the past, I've heard you speak very fondly of your time in Japan, and I've been itching to know, like, what did you do during your time? And
so a little backstory. When I was little, I used to love Japanese cartoons so much. They weren't as popular as they are now. So like you kind of had to go out of your way to find this stuff. And if anyone found out that you were like looking at Japanese cartoons, like that was a wrap for you. You know what I mean? Like that's going to kill your social life. It's going to kill like whatever you got going on. Oh, you're one of those kids that likes the weird Japanese cartoons. Stay all the way over there. So like I secretly like started this like love affair with Japanese cartoons, and at first I didn't know like where they were from. I just knew that they were different from what I had seen before. The detail was different. The storytelling was deeper. The colors were more vibrant. It just hit on so many levels that like who could not love this stuff? And as you can see now, like everyone is on the like anime train. But for me at the time, it was like this really like guilty pleasure. And so it had sparked this thing. Once I had started doing the research and learning more about it, it was like, it became this thing of like, oh, this magical country, oh, the land of Japan, where all of this really cool stuff comes from. And so it had become this like really quiet determination of mine, is like somehow I was going to figure out how to get there and go to the land of the place that made the thing that I love so much. So I used a language program as my way to Tokyo. So I enrolled in a Japanese language program to learn and study the language and culture. And so I went to university and did the school thing. And while I was doing the school thing, that's only 6 to 8 hours a day, which left me tons of time to just like be a Japanese guy for a while and just hang out and build myself a little lifestyle.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you're saying, because growing up, I mean, with the, what age did you start like getting into it?
Ooh, I must have been like 8 or 9, maybe.
I think it was around that age that I vividly remember on Sundays, I would watch. Oh wait, no, it was either Sundays or Saturdays. I would watch this like 4Kids block, and it would have like Yu-Gi-Oh and Dragon Ball. And I just remember I got so into it. And nowadays it's like, I cannot, like, if you just see me every day, like I'm either wearing like an anime shirt, a video game shirt, and it's like, as much as it might be like a more mainstream thing now, I can definitely be I'm definitely one of those people who grew up with it when they were younger. And especially with my friend who was into it even like younger than I was, with like Naruto and such. So with with your time in Japan, would you like recommend anything to anybody who's like wanting to go there very badly?
Yeah. So I would say that, um, hmm, gosh, the advice I'd have is like find find a reason to go, and a reason that makes you engage. What's so great about, like, either, you could go as like an English tutor, so you could go and teach English, because the English language, just like we have like Spanish language programs in our schools, they have English language programs in their schools. So that's always a great way for American students, or Americans in general, to go over to be an English tutor. You can work for the government, and they can do a whole thing, which gives you, means. It gives you money. It gives you a way to live. It gives you a place to stay. So that's always a great way to get there. But just find something that makes you really want to be a part of it, especially now, like, because Japan has become so open and accepting of our admiration for what they do. You're now starting to see like American entrepreneurs like set up like animation studios in Japan, right? So it's no longer just a love letter to like, I love Japanese style, but now you have American animation companies who are learning directly from Japanese artists. So if that's where you get on, like, find a way to be a part of those kind of programs, do an internship, do something that makes you engage. Because when you engage, that's where you start to learn. That's where you really start to build a lifestyle, and you start to build relationships. Like the friendships that I had built in that time are so valuable to me, because first off, I was in a strange land. So any friend I had was like instantly my best friend. But also, like, we were able to connect on like really deep human things. And that was like just a really beautiful thing, that like we could put aside language barriers and cultural barriers and really like connect human to human. I kind of miss that.
Yeah, and definitely thank you for giving an answer to that. But that point being, we're out of time today. So I thank you again, Madison. Well, I thank you, Madison, for coming on to our show. And is there anything you want to say before we log off?
Yeah. Stay encouraged. Keep making your art. I believe in you, even if you don't. I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you, Madison. See you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much for coming, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.